Hello everyone, welcome back. In this video, I'm going to show you some techniques that can be used in modeling columns in multi-story building. Now let's say we have a grid. We set our grid number of stories, let's say to be 6. I don't care about the grid line here. We'll focus on the way of modeling when you have multi-story building. Now, if you press OK, you'll have the grid line. I didn't select any specific type of floor, just grid line here. So I have my grid line here. Then let's say we are in the story 6. We said that we can change those to any story that you have. So those are the story numbers. We have them 3, 2, 1. Now the thing I'll be talking about is at the bottom, you'll be able to see some icons here. Now we have them here, sorry. Now we'll see this small box here. It says one story. So if you open that one, it has all stories and similar stories. Now, what does that mean? If you model a column while it says one story, it's just basically you do it per plan. You only do it for a story. So if you are, for example, in story 1, you only do it for one story. By default is one story, so that you will do one by one the columns. You may not have the same column in the second one, you may not have in the third one, or maybe different. So by default is over one story. So if it's over one story, if you go, let's say that you have the column, let's say I just simply go and draw quick column, let's say whatever the column, we have it here, it's a concrete. So I can place the column, as we said that, let's say I can place it here, or somewhere in this corner. So if I place this one, it only will be one story. Only one story. But if you select this one, so if I go back to, let's say if I press escape here and try to find this column that I have it here, we'll somewhere here. So it's so we have the column is only in the first story. Why? Because it was one story. If I delete this one here, then try to do the same thing, same column, I want to place it here at this point here. But what I will do, I will say all stories. So it doesn't matter which story you are, when you click somewhere, it will be placed in all the stories. As you can see, the column will be placed in all the stories. So it's basically story 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 stories. The column will be placed. Why? Because it's all stories. And these things can be used even for selection, modeling. Mainly for modeling, you will work with this one. If you have the same column, instead of doing it story by story, you can just simply, in any of the stories, you click, place the column, and it will place it in all the stories. Like all the stories means that there is no exception. Well, if let's say that you only have here you don't have it, like this is all selected, yes, together. Why? Because it's placed as one. So it's basically in all the stories you have it. So if you try delete this one, what will happen? Because the placement will be based on all stories and it will be dealt as one single element. It seems like one selection, it will delete it. Well, the other type is similar story. So what does similar story means here? Now similar story, if you right click and go to add modify grid, and then it's the stories that you have it, the 6 stories that you have it. If you go show modify story data, now here you will see some information is similar, that basically similar stories can work with this one. You'll say story 6 is master story, and the rest of the other stories are similar to story 6. So if you do things on the story 6, the rest of them will have similar properties. But if they are different, that's why in the beginning I said you can change them to be master. So if each of them separate and different for the house that we're modeling, they had different. So all of them are 2-story or master. But if you have a multi-story building, you can, for example, say the first one is master, the others, they are not master. For example, they are all similar. Or let's say that the first story and the second story, they are master, the rest of them are not master. So if they are not a master story, you can say that they are similar. So you can say this is similar to story 1 or 2. For example, let's say story 2, and it's all of them I can relate them to story 1. Let's say the base is different and the rest of them are similar. Now, whatever you do on story 2, it will be replicated for the other stories. Why? Because it says that story 3, 4, 5, 6 are similar to story 2. So if I press OK here, and press OK, now if I go to story 2, on the story 2 we have it here, and if this is similar stories, if I try to place the column, for example, let's say this, so I want to place it here, what will happen? It only goes for the similar stories. Look, it will not go for the bottom one. Why? Because it is not the same as the other stories. It's different. This can be used for slab, for beam, for anything that you're modeling in ETABS. It can make the modeling faster if you have similar stories. If they are all the same, you can go for all stories. If it is specific only for one story, you'll go for one story. Now remember, in ETABS, this is story 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Story goes like this, story by story. So if one story you have specific things in one story, you can do it. Let's say you have an opening that goes through all of the stories, so you can just simply say all stories. Or let's say you have you're planning something, a slab, they are similar in some, you can go for similar stories, which will come back to the others. You'll understand at that time we can use these similar stories if they have the same area. This is another thing that could be used while modeling multi-story. Was according to the example we were working with, it was not multi-story, just a 2-story, so some of the columns were not continuous, some continuous, so you can use this option here in order to manage, especially in the multi-story buildings. Thanks for watching.